My name is Liana Angove. I'm the Deputy Principal of Teaching and Learning. I've met some of you and spoken with some of you, and I recognise some of the faces from our presentation that we did on May the 16th when we talked about pathways and what it will mean to make those decisions around pathways. And I really appreciate you coming out this evening in the interest of your sons and getting more information that you can take away and have that discussion with your sons about their futures and their pathways and the subjects that they're going to select. Before we start anything, of course, we wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we're meeting on, the Whadjuk people, and we wish to acknowledge and respect their contribution, continuing culture and contribution that they make to the life of this community in this city and this region. And I'd love you to join me in the prayer. If you feel comfortable joining with me, this is our college prayer. This is the Mazenod College prayer. And I would like to just bring us all together in prayer so that we can put ourselves in the focus of doing what is best for our boys. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord Jesus, take my hands to do your work and my feet to walk in your way. Take my eyes and my mouth to see and to speak with love. Take my heart and mind and spirit, that I may be your living presence in our world. Lord, with Mary our mother, make me a worthy and humble servant to live my life with you forever. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And you might not know, but that prayer is said at the end of every day. It comes over our PA system, and it's a beautiful way to end the day and reminds us of where we are and what we're about here at Mazenod College. So I just want to go over a bit of ground that some of you might be familiar with. We're going to talk about what Mazenod College offers in the way of vet courses. Lauren Johnson is our vet coordinator, and she's going to be speaking with you later. And Kylie Eaton, who is our careers advisor, she will be talking to you about the Curtin Uni Ready in brief, so that you have that as something as a consideration for your son. So there's a bit of information that we'll go through. I need to tell you that we will send this out to you at a later stage for your reference, and there won't be a test at the end, so that'll be okay. So I'll be going through the SCARS requirements and some of the considerations for selection. As I said, vet and WPL, and where to from here. So I have spoken about this before, but for those of you who are new this evening, these are some of the things that you need to consider. Where are your sons now with their study practice and their learning? They've just finished their first lot of exams, and you know best what energy they put into it and what energy they got out of it as well. So you need to have a think about that and a discussion with them about that. What aspirations do they have for future study and work? What are their strengths? What are their challenges? Where do they burn the most energy? And I think that's a really important point to consider. What are their co-curricular and sporting commitments? I'm amazed here that we've got boys who are playing in all sorts of teams and spending a lot of time out of school dedicating themselves to those teams. And they love that, and that's good for them. But they need to consider how they're spending that time and how they can balance that with their future studies. Work, there's some boys here who have part-time work, and they also need to consider family as well, and time with family. And it's an important consideration to make sure that weekends are not all spent in a lot of study and a lot of other things, that they actually do get to spend time with you, because believe it or not, one day, and some of you have already experienced this, they will move on, and it's a beautiful time to treasure at this age. The other thing you need to consider, and these are the hard and fast things that we look at, prerequisites. And some of you might have gone onto the MyPath website and had a look at what those prerequisites are for certain subjects. And the academic leadership team have consulted with each other, and they have set the prerequisites. They know which marks need to be set or hit in order to be able to let into certain courses, particularly 8R courses. We have them so that we can set students on the right path. If there is a demonstration in year 10 that a student is able to complete a subject or be adept at a certain subject, we will allow them into it because we want them to have success. So that's why we have the prerequisites. So what you look for now And what you see now is a clear indication of how they will perform in year 11 and 12. At year 10 level, they will tell you simply by their demonstration or simply by their work how they're coping. All right, so you've got a pretty clear picture. You've been watching them working up to exams. Some of you have probably given them a gentle encouragement around getting on with the study and doing exams, and some of you might not have to say anything at all and it gets done, and others of you probably need to remind them gently that things need to be done. Okay, so these are the kinds of conversations you need to be thinking about. And as I said, the commitments to sport, work and family are really important as well. And just for those who've not been here, what the boys have been doing so far is having a look at some MyPath presentations. We've had the heads of learning area come in and talk to the boys about their offerings in their learning areas and promoting and informing them about the realities of their particular subject area. Tomorrow, we've got the Mazenod old boys coming in to talk to the year 10s about their experiences of life beyond school. And we've got a variety of people coming in just to tell about, this is what Mazenod did for me. This is how I have embarked on my working and my study life. And this is what I bring to you. So we're getting that tomorrow. We've also had some information from VET and WPL. And of course, we can't forget the incredible work that Lauren and Kylie and Peter have done in setting up the Careers Expo. And I hope you've had an opportunity to walk through that and get some ideas and information. And of course, we haven't just invited the universities in, we've also invited in a lot of the agencies in our area, our local community, and a lot of the industry areas that really are looking for good, able, strong and enthusiastic people to come into those work areas. So Kylie and Lauren, fantastic work. And it doesn't end there. On Thursday morning, we've got a Explore a Career morning. And so the boys can actually come in and they've made their selections about things that they can come in and do. There's health, there's fitness, mushroom growing. Yeah. So, and they're actually getting some hands-on experience with that. And on Friday, we have what we call a career carousel, where representatives from various industries come in and actually talk to the boys about, this is what this is like. Lawyers, we've got accountants, we've got an IT guy in, we've got a member from the police force. So we've actually got people who are in the industry coming in and talking to the boys. So there's a really good opportunity for them to ask good questions, to be able to map out where they're going. And that'll round out the week. Next week, of course, we have our course counselling sessions. And I know that some of you have already booked. If you haven't booked, there are times available. If you're finding there isn't a time available to you, if you're not able to make it, just give me a call and we can see what we can organise for you outside of those times if you're finding that it's a little bit tricky with your work commitments. We're really keen to talk to you and your son so that we can get a really clear idea about what the pathway is, and we can advise you if it is the best way to go. We've been doing this work for a long time, and we can give you some really good advice around what subjects need to be taken. There's some certain misconceptions that people have about what they need to do to study a certain course or go into a certain industry, and we can help you with that. We do have all of that information. So that's what's happening in the next week also. So what you can do from here is you can have a look at the MyPath site. It's available on the Mazenod website. Just type in MyPath into the search engine, it'll come up. Have a look at the documents. And of course, if you're looking at university and TAFE courses, they have already set up their particular websites that will have the up-to-date information for you as well. So there's a whole range of places you can go and have a look. As I said, the course counselling starts next week. It starts on Monday and runs through to Thursday, which is the last week of term, and it's booked through PTO, and you would have received an email. Again, if you're having some issues around connection with that, just give me a call and I'll work that out for you. The school reports are issued on Thursday, the 29th of June. When we have the meeting with you, we will actually be looking at your son's data wall on sectors. So we can see all the up-to-date stuff. There might be stuff that we can see that you haven't seen yet, like exam results. So we'll actually show that to you, and we can make a determination from that about the suitability of going into certain courses. So, but the actual report document will be released on Thursday. There are two options for you. When you have your course counselling session with us, we can enter in the subjects on your behalf at the time of the course counselling meeting. So you won't have to do that. So if you're pretty confident and your son's pretty confident about the choices that they want to make, we will do it on the spot then and there, and we'll just get a signature from you to say that it's been done, and we'll be in. If, however, you have the course counselling meeting and you decide that you want to go away and have a think about it, talk about it, do some other discussion, do a little bit of research, that's fine. You'll get a web code from us. You will get a link. You'll get a link with that web code, and you'll be able to go in and enter that yourself. It's very straightforward. There'll be some instructions. It's very straightforward. So there are a couple of options there, but we do ask that it be done by Sunday, the 9th of July, which is the middle Sunday of the July holidays. The reason for that is we're wanting to get a very clear picture of which subjects will run, and also a pattern for the timetable. We're wanting to start the timetable process then. So if you don't get it in by the 9th of July, we'll be in contact with you just to ask the question about, do you need more time? But we believe that this will be ample time for you to make that decision and put those subject selections in. I am available from the 10th to the 14th of July for follow-up. If you've put in some subject selections and you're not too sure and you want to make a change, I'm available in that second week of the holidays so that you can give me a call and we can talk that through. Okay, so you've got options there. If you make your selection and change your mind, can you change? Absolutely. But there will be a point at the point of making the timetable that we have to fix it, and after that it'll be a case of whether or not your son can fit into the timetable if they want to change their mind. Any questions about that process at all? Okay. All right, I'm required to give you some information regarding the achievements of the WASA and the WACE. Okay, so the WASA is the West Australian Statement of Student Achievement. Every student in Western Australia will receive this on leaving school. This statement basically records the achievement in every course, every qualification and program that the student has completed. So whatever they have done will be on that statement. So it's a record of entering into year 11 and year 12. This is everything that they have done. From year 10 to year 11, students move from being school operated in their assessment and reporting to being operated by the authority, the School Curriculum and Standards Authority. So when they go into enrolment in year 11, they are enrolled with the authority along with every other school in the state, and your son will be enrolled in those courses. Okay, so everything that we do is answerable to that authority in year 11 and 12. Every program that we write, every endorsed program that we put up has to be endorsed by SCASA. So we are checked by SCASA. We go through a series of syllabus audits. We go through consensus moderation. We go through small group moderation. There's a whole range of processes to make sure that we are getting those assessments right. So in year 11 and 12, your son will be under that authority. The West Australian Certificate of Education is awarded to students who have successfully completed senior secondary education. So over the 2 years, everything that your son does is recorded, the results are recorded, and they are uploaded to the authority. The majority of students achieve a WACE, and study towards a WACE can be undertaken over a lifetime. I've had students in the past who, for whatever reason, have had to leave school at year 11 and haven't completed their WACE and go back later at a senior college and finish it off. So it doesn't have to be done in year 11 and 12. It's preferred, it's expedient to get it done in that time, but there are reasons why students leave school and they pick it up and finish it off later. So they can do it at any age. So over the course of a lifetime, they can do that. So here are the WACE requirements. There is no test, but just so you understand, we are set by some fairly strict guidelines. They have to complete at least 4 year 12 8R courses if they're on an 8R pathway, or at least 5 general courses or an 8R course, or a certificate to or higher vet qualification course. All of these will fulfil all of the requirements for that WACE. They have to demonstrate literacy and numeracy standards. Some of you may be familiar with OLNA. OLNA is a test, the Online Literacy and Numeracy Test. It is only set up in Western Australia, and it is a measure to ensure that the literacy and numeracy standards are met. Students started in year 10. There may be some here who are familiar with it having been done in, I think it was in March. There's another round coming up in August. It's just a check to see that those measures have been met. Last year, every student got through who was required to do the OLNA, got through. And they did that because of the work that had been undertaken by Kylie Chapman in our Learning Diversity team, and those students managed to get through. So that's part of the standard that we need to set. They need to meet the requirements for breadth and depth, and they need to meet the achievement standard. As I mentioned to you, there's the Online Literacy and Numeracy Test. For those who have done NAPLAN and have achieved at Band 8 or higher, they instantly pre-qualify. For those of you who have come into state and we don't have an OLNA test for you, your sons will be required to do it, and once they get through, it'll be on the record. The breadth and depth, students must complete a minimum of 20 units or equivalent. At Mazenod, we offer 24 in total. So they only need to do 20, but we offer 24. So there needs to be a minimum of 10 year 12 units or the equivalent, 4 units from an English learning course. So they have to do 2 in year 11 and 2 in year 12, post year 10, and there has to be 2 units in year 12. 1 pair from List A and 1 pair from List B. And what that means is List A is English, humanities and the arts. List B is science, technology, IT. Okay, so if your son, English and religious education, which are the 2 compulsory subjects here at the school, religious education because we are a Catholic school and we are required by the bishop's mandate to teach it in year 11 and 12, there is no choice. We offer it at 2 levels, general and 8R, and English is compulsory across the state, irrespective of where you go. So List A is taken care of there. So your son could do those 2 List A subjects and then choose 2 maths, a science, and a phys ed or an outdoor ed, and cover all the ground. Okay. Having said that, also about maths, there will be a question about mathematics. Mathematics is a requirement for many courses, particularly in the areas of apprenticeships, particularly in the areas of engineering and medicine, biomedical science. That is a requirement. However, it is not compulsory. As long as a student picks up a List B subject in their suite of courses, they are not required to do maths if they don't need it for their pathway. And we will ask that question. We do have some students who are not doing maths in year 12. They've decided to drop it. They don't need it. Okay, the achievement standard requirement. Students must achieve 14 C grades over year 11 and 12, and at least 6 C grades in year 12 units. So there's wriggle room there for some students who might get the odd D on their record. It is not advisable, but it does happen. So the 14C grades is over year 11 and 12. Here are the study options that we offer. Uni Direct, which is an 8R pathway, Uni Ready, Curtin, and Kylie will talk more about that later. And Work Ready, general and vet courses with workplace learning, and the Transition to Work, which is an invitational program for select students who are needing some extra work on their workplace learning. Then we have vet programs and we have endorsed programs. Let me explain the 8R, the Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. They're examined by the School Curriculum and Standards Authority. So every student who applies for an 8R course is required to sit the exam at the end of year 12. Irrespective of whether or not they're doing 1 or 2 or 3, they have to sit the exam to complete the course. And they're used by the Tertiary Institute Services Centre to calculate the 8R. At the moment, we are doing our calculations on proposed 8Rs for our year 11 and 12 students who've completed their exams, so we can give them a picture of what it looks like at the moment. For the year 12s, it's high stakes because they need to know now, am I hitting the mark that I want to hit? And what strategies do I need to put into place to make it better if I need to? There are written exams for all 8R courses and there are practical exams for some 8R courses. And here we have practical exams in phys ed studies, music, visual arts, drama, and design at the moment. We have 8R design. I don't think it's not on the offerings for next year, but those practical exams have to be taken into consideration. So to complete an 8R course, they will have sat an exam and if necessary, a practical exam. And if they don't sit the exam, nothing about the course is recorded. Basically, it doesn't appear on any record. So they must sit the exam. And we've got a couple of students in year 12 this year who have an aspiration to electrical apprenticeships, and they're doing maths applications, which is an 8R level maths, and they're doing very well. They're doing general in all of their other courses, but they're doing the 8R maths applications, and they will be sitting the exam at the end of the year. And we've got one student who's a boarder who's going to be sitting the exam up in his hometown, which we've arranged for him. So he's sitting that so that he can walk into the apprenticeship and say, I have done this level of maths. So that's a consideration. The general courses aren't externally examined. There are no exams. There are in-class tests, and there is an EST, which is an externally set task in year 12, and it's a 1-period task, and we package that up, we send it off to SCASA, and we mark it, we record it, they mark it, they record it, and we compare our marks. That's our moderation process for them. That happens in year 12. And they're designed for students who are typically going into the vocationally based training areas. So we have here woodwork, metalwork, outdoor education, very popular, PE studies, general PE studies, general music, general art, visual art, which has taken off in the last 12 months. And it's an opportunity for the boys to really get in and really take a practical approach to those subjects. The vet industry specific courses, I won't talk too much about this because I know that Lauren's going to talk about the specifics of what we offer, but vet is an incredibly strong part of our program here at Mazenod College. We have boys here who are really, really good at school courses, and there's boys who do the vet courses and go out and do workplace learning. The reports that we get back from their tutors and from their supervisors is that they do really well. It's where they want to be. It's kind of their, you know, they're part of the engagement for them. So the full vet qualification contributes to WACE as units. So a student can do 5 courses and a vet course, and it will fulfil the requirements for the WACE. They can be used, undertaken through vet industry specific courses, and the workplace learning component will go towards the WACE as well. So we've had a number of boys, while the year 11s and 12s were on their exams recently, we had boys going out doing workplace learning, and some of them they've chosen themselves, some of them have been sourced by Lauren, And really what it is an opportunity for them to have a go at what they think they might want to do. And some of them come back and say, I never want to dig another hole again. I never want to wash another window, or whatever it is. But it's a good discerning process for them. It's nationally recognised, so a lot of the courses that they do move into different jurisdictions. Okay, so they can actually take it elsewhere. And it's part of the minimum waste requirements. We offer 2 Cert 2 courses on site here at the school in furniture pathways and engineering pathways, woodwork and metalwork, but it's a certification. Okay, I won't go into too much detail there. Endorsed programs. Some of your sons might be involved in things like cadets. They might be involved in community groups, elite sport. If they are, they may qualify to be part of an endorsed program. So we could give them credit as part of the endorsed program. We've got a Year 12 student who is currently in Air Cadets, I think it is. I think it's the Air Cadets, and he's got himself to a certain position within the Air Cadets. He is getting credit for that, and it will appear on his statement. So if there's anything that you want to inquire about, you can just flick me an email and just say, look, you know, does this count? Will this be part of an endorsed program? If we can get documentation from you, we can have it credited towards, for a point towards the waste, and it can appear on their statement.
So we recently had a Year 11 who's doing workplace learning. We used school productions with outside schools. So we enrolled him in that, and then during those 2 weeks, obviously you can imagine we're doing a lot of hours with performances, and he did a lot of work and we completed that. And that will be on his place.
I think he was in 3 productions this year. It's where he's going, it's his passion. And so what we're doing is we're giving him an opportunity to have that endorsed and put onto his record. And it will help him with his application to WAPA. Okay, very quickly, changing courses in Year 11 and 12. Is the selection set in stone? No, it is not. For those of you who've had any students who've come through before, you'll know that in Year 11, that first semester is a really good testing period for students to say, oh, I don't actually want to do this pathway, I want to change my pathway. Or I don't want to do this course, I want to change this course. So what we do in first semester is we let them run through and get to the end, and then there is an opportunity for students to come to me and say, look, can I change out of this into this? And if it fits the timetable and it's good for them and it's not going to affect their pathway or their waste graduation, they can make that change. So they're not set on a pathway. If they start something, the worst thing is to sit and say, oh, I've got to see this through to the end of Year 12, and they're not achieving it at the level that they need to achieve, and they're miserable. They can make changes. And I had a number of boys, I think I've had about 55 boys come and see me, and of those 55, 33 made changes. And they were able to fit on the timetable, and they were much happier. We resulted them for their first semester results, and then we changed them for second semester. So that's kind of what we do with that. Similarly, I've had a number of Year 11 students get to the end of the year and they say, you know what, it's not working for me. I want to move out of this pathway, or I want to move out of this course. And we give Year 12s an opportunity to change again. In Year 12, there is a very small window of opportunity for change. At the end of term 1, the enrolments lock at SCASA and you're in. That's where you're at. Okay, so between now and the beginning of Year 12, there's opportunity to move around. We don't like students to chop and change too much. I think one student last year, I made 5 changes for him, and then he finally decided, yes, this is what I want to do. And we all breathed a sigh of relief, and he did really well. But we gave him that opportunity to do that. Okay, so some of your sons may well be set in stone, and they'll start as they intend to finish. Fantastic. But there will be others who will make changes along the way, and that's perfectly fine. So all the advice that I give about changing courses is as much as possible on the pathway that you want your sons to be on, or your sons are endeavouring to start. We want them to stay on it and keep going, but we acknowledge that there's probably need for change. And we also acknowledge that things happen through the course of a student's life, and things might change for them. Circumstances might, beyond their control, might happen, and we have to shift their pathway. And we've done that. It is not a problem. We are here to facilitate the success of your son. And at every step of the way, we'll be there. My job is to monitor and track and make sure that everybody's getting the marks that they need. I've got some interviews with students next week where I'm going to say, tell me your plan. What are you hoping to achieve next semester? And they're conversations that I will continually have with them. Similarly, you can contact me and say, look, I'm not too sure what's happening here. Can you please, can we please meet and have a conversation about it? Happy to do that too, every step of the way. Because what's important is that the end goal is achieved. Okay, that's enough from me. I will send this out to you, and there's a lot of information there, but we're really looking forward to working with your sons and working with you in this process. I'd like to hand over now to Lauren and Peter Paduano, who also works in the careers department, about vet and workplace learning.
Obviously, Carly and I have had a very good day. So presented to your boys this morning, and obviously the Careers Expo this afternoon. Just want to say from the feedback that I got from all the companies that came in, and they just said the boys are remarkable. They've never actually experienced anything else like it. Not making it up, they actually said that. So, well done to them, and I'll probably give them a high five on their way out tomorrow, because they always do. The boys always shine when they go out and represent themselves and the school and the families. So I just want to let you know that. Obviously, I'm going to introduce Peter as she's walking in the door with almost cleaning up after me. But obviously, myself and Peter, we are the vet and workplace learning team. So I have said this before, if you were here last time, I have the best job in the school. I think it's the most rewarding job, because I'm obviously matching boys with either apprenticeships or jobs, or referring them on to Kylie, who can help them. So and making those goals be achieved, which is predominantly what we want when they leave here. So sorry, it's very small on my screen. So so the thing that I do, first of all, is I provide the opportunities, and Kylie and I have communicate the opportunities that are available to the boys in 10, 11, 12, even younger. And we just make sure that the boys are supported in a way that, they're given a bit of a lead, but then we also make sure that, they can fend for themselves, because once they leave here, they need to. Example, I have a number of boys that are applying for apprenticeships with some big companies, and they'll use, they'll make contact in my room, and I'll give them a little script and say this, and they take notes down. And then also, then they say, okay, well, I've got through to the next round. I say, okay, so there's going to be a screen. They're going to record you. This is what you need to say. This is how you answer. So we're preparing them for when they go and leave school, and they're able to actually fend for themselves. Last year, I think I said this before, 20 of our 29 general pathway boys left with either an apprenticeship or a job, which was really good. Some of them changed, and that's fine. But we just know that we've handed over, that they've felt comfortable in themselves. And we caught up with them this last week, and a lot of them they're there and they're enjoying it, and some are changing, so that's okay. I do the negotiations between the workplace, the RTOs, which you would have met if you came to the thing today, and making sure that the boys are enrolled in courses, but also that they're going to get that statement of attainment at the end. So with vet, the boys will obviously come to school one day, every day, apart from if they're enrolled in a TAFE course, they will go to TAFE one day a week. Okay, and I'll give you the course. So I make sure that I negotiate with the RTOs, make sure the boys are enrolled, and they get that certificate at the end of school. So they'll walk away with a piece of paper of graduation, and also a certificate of attainment, I think it's called. certificate, yep. And they'll walk away with 2 pieces of paper, sometimes 3, because some of our boys are doing a Cert 2 in year 11 and then a Cert 4 in year 12. So that's really good. Kylie and I also become a bit of a sounding board for parents, because we need to negotiate your way through this as well. So many times I'm speaking on the phone to parents, Kylie is too, just to make sure you understand what's going on, and also get the pieces of paper at the end and send them out. So there's lots of things we do. And both Kylie, myself and Peter are qualified career practitioners as well, which we all achieved this year. VET, Liana quickly touched on it. So it's vocational education training, pretty much what TAFE delivers, but we're doing it at school level. And the reason why they do that is to prepare kids for the workforce, because obviously we know with what is going on in our current climate, with lack of staff, and most of us would probably know we're all feeling the pinch in the workforce because there's not enough workers. They want to start preparing students from year 11 and 12. So getting the kids trained up from 11 and 12 and finding a bit of a pathway for them is really important. A lot of my boys in year 11 who are doing mechanics, it's called AVP, they're leaving, getting to the end of year 11 going, I actually want to do heavy diesel, or I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. I learned now how to, do things on my own car. I want to try something else, and they'll do something else along the way. So it's there. It's an optional thing. The boys do not have to do it if they're on a general pathway, but it just gives them the option. So if your boys want to do it, I have provided them with a printout of all the RTOs and what they provide for your boys, and they've already started the discussion. 2 ways, I'll just explain to complete that. Obviously at school, we have engineering, we have state-of-the-art work. One of our companies that we work with, they said we have tested the level of the quality of the work from our boys. They've actually gone down into workshop and they tested a weld. Don't know all the terminology with all these different types of welding, but they said some of the boys are presenting like A-grade welds because of the skills that they're being taught in that engineering pathways. They can't go to TAFE. I'll tell you this now. The boys say it, they can't go to TAFE and do engineering because it's a 2-day-a-week course. We don't want the boys going outside of school 2 days a week because they will fall behind. And obviously we want them to achieve their WACE. On the table that I've got there, I've taken those 2-day-a-week courses out because it's just too hard. And a lot of them might actually ask, and I'm going to say blatantly no, because we don't want them to, we're setting them up for failure. There's lots of options out there. We just need to make it work for them. So I'll meet with them to discuss, the options after next week. Other things, so obviously we do furnishings. They can do these if they're completing ATAR. Yes, no. But remember, when they're doing these certs, it's 60% written and 40% in the workshop. So if your son is doing 5 ATAR and he decides, I want to do a Cert 2, we've got to remember it's not going to be, let's make, every lesson we're in the workshop, it's going to be a little bit more structured because it's a qualification. So if they want to have a bit of fun on the tools, I would do general woods or general metals. The other option is you can enroll with one of the private RTOs, and we had those there today. So the TAFEs, we had Health Science Hub, we had Master Plumbers Association there, and the boys, what they do is they enroll, if they're interested in that particular area, they enroll at TAFE or one of those companies. They don't always get it because there is thousands of kids wanting those places, and they only have a certain amount of spots, and especially in electrical, heavy diesel, that there's actually no trainers around, so it's a very limited amount of places. So I will send you through lots of information about opportunities available for the boys. They will be coming through towards the middle of July, and you'll see the application process, which is a bit of a process. So be prepared if you like to write resumes and you like to write answers to why you want to be a plumber or why you want to be this, then the boys will need to learn to structure their answers correctly, but I'll provide you with assistance there. That's what they require. So that's what they're looking for when you apply. So your ulnar, your grades, if your boys are getting Ds in year 10, it's okay. No, it's not. So students here, no, it's not okay to get Ds, right? But they look at you as a whole. So if you are in extended maths and you're getting a D, we say they're in extended maths. Like I actually ring them up and say, this is the explanation. Okay, so just they will look at everything. And I've spoken to the boys about this, and they're in year 9 last year. I think I spoke to them twice actually about it. Any work placement, community service, it all comes into it. These are just a few of the companies that we deal with. And you obviously saw them if you're here today. I won't give you too much on this, and some people came to the last meeting. Workplace learning is an endorsed program, and we enroll the boys in a general. So as soon as you say, yes, I'm doing general, we enroll you as an extra subject in workplace learning. And they complete these, these experiences at the end of, during the exam time when the other kids are doing their exams. Okay, so some of the boys might want to, some of our year 12, Cert 4 boys, they want to just go and get experience. So we said, yeah, you can go out, but you need to remember you've got exams that you need to stay on top of. So they can, the ATAR students can do it, but we tend to say do it during your school holidays for a week. We send out insurance, well, Peter sends out insurance documentation just to make sure that we're following compliance there. So it's a 2-week, 55 hours. So they get 4 experiences in year 11 and 12. And it's an amazing experience for the boys. A lot of them have been offered apprenticeships from there, or even just finding out that they don't want to do certain things. I think I've covered everything there. And the last thing before I move on to Kylie is a lot of boys say, I want to get an apprenticeship. A lot of them also say, I want to go FIFO. I want to go in the mines. And I say, when you turn 18, I said, oh, not till middle of next year. So it's very difficult for them. Obviously, there's 2 ways that you can get apprenticeships. Obviously, do work experience and do really well and show that you're a hard worker and that you're dedicated and you're not on your phone and you're a good person, right? And all those things that we support at the college. And they take you on that way. Or when they leave school, they can enroll at TAFE and do a Cert 3 level like an apprenticeship. Okay, and then they get picked up that way. So even though they might not get an apprenticeship at the end of year 12, they can have the chance to do it by going to TAFE and learning those skills, and you would do that full time. Lots of apprenticeship programs that get released in May, so they start to come out now. Kylie and I have a little circle thing on the sector portal. We put that up weekly to tell them what's out there. They do require their driver's license, so I know the boys are starting to do looking at getting the L's, do your manual license, really important because you need to be able to drive those big trucks when you're doing stuff. I don't know what they call. That's not my forte, but when you're out driving the big heavy diesel trucks, you need to be able to learn to actually move them. And also just remember that FIFO need to be 18. So when kids come out of year 11, I'm going FIFO next week, I'm like, no, you're not. So yeah, and also if you want to do electrical, don't be colorblind because that doesn't work either. So do we do questions at the end or? Yeah, okay, so I'll hand over to Kylie. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Kylie Eaton. I don't think we've met probably most of you. I was actually missing from the last presentation. So it was an outdoor ed camp at the time. So if I just want to quickly explain my role. I'm the MyPath coordinator, I guess you would say. So I run the careers education programs in 10, 11 and 12. And so I'll be speaking to your boys in those classes, making sure that they get the information that's relevant to them at a sort of point of their journey there. I also do some counselling with the boys, so one-on-one counselling, just trying to prepare them for making their decisions about what they're going to do next. But what I'm here tonight to talk to you about is our Curtin Uni Ready program. So this is our sort of our third pathway for the boys, and we set this up a couple of years ago. This is really important opportunity for those students who do want to go to university, but for whatever reason, the ATAR pathway isn't necessarily the best fit for them. So we felt it was really important that these boys still get those opportunities. And we've had some amazing students go through the Uni Ready program and are studying currently at university and doing really well. We've also had some great students go through the Uni Ready program and decide that in fact uni was not for them and go into apprenticeships or go into some other form of learning or work, which I think is equally valuable, to be honest. University is a big investment and a really big decision. So Uni Ready is a good way for them to know that at school. So Uni Ready, for those of you who don't even know what I'm talking about at this point, is actually a university preparation course. So this is the course that's always existed for students who haven't quite met the requirements to get into university, to get straight into a university course. So they essentially teach them all of the skills that they would require to go into that course. We now teach this in schools. So by the time they've left year 12, they have already done the university prep course. So a student who is doing Uni Ready would be doing a general pathway, as well as Uni Ready and a Cert 4, which I'll explain in a little bit. So they're not actually on an ATAR pathway anymore. They actually will end up with a 70 ATAR if they complete all components of the Uni Ready course, which will allow them to go into a number of the larger courses at university, which is what we're sort of what they're aiming for. So the students who want to go into Uni Ready would be aiming for a 70 guaranteed ATAR course. And you can see that on their websites when you're looking at the different courses. Some students will go into those courses and then they'll course switch. So we have some students who've gone into engineering, but they have gone through Uni Ready, got a 70 ATAR, gone into applied science, and then after they've demonstrated ability in that course, so it's usually about 65% for the first year or first semester, depending on their requirements, then they move into the engineering course. So that's possible for them. We would offer it to these sorts of students. It's really important for you to understand that at this point you're not choosing Uni Ready. So no one is choosing Uni Ready today or in the next sort of week. This is something for you to keep in mind as an option for year 12. We've set it up so that it is actually only run in year 12, which allows our students to experience whatever pathway they want in year 11 before making the decision about what they wanted to do in year 12. So we would not, there's normally 4 units of Uni Ready. We are able to do just the core units, which is academic writing and communications. And we do it alongside a certificate 4. And that gives us recognised prior learning for the certificate 4. They complete all parts of that and they will achieve Uni Ready in 1 year. A lot of schools do it in 2 years. So we wanted to make it really, we wanted to make it possible for people to do an ATAR pathway in year 11 and give that their best shot, and then have this as an option in year 12 if need be. We also have students coming into Uni Ready straight from a general pathway who are planning to do it that way. These students just need to be really aware of the fact that they actually need to be really dedicated students. So I had a student come to me this afternoon and say to me, will I be able to go into Uni Ready from a general pathway, or would you prefer that I did ATAR in year 11? And I said to him, well, I need you to be a really good student. So I need you to do the pathway that's going to be the best for you in year 11, and that you're going to end up with really strong grades and a report that tells me you've got a really strong work ethic. Okay, so I'm not valuing one over the other, but we will be limiting the places. So it is actually selected as one of your 6 subjects. You enroll in a Cert 4. The Cert 4 can be the business Cert 4, which is run by Fremantle Education Centre on a Thursday. They actually come on campus and deliver it here. So a lot of our boys choose that option, but they can actually pair Uni Ready with any certificate 4 that they're interested in, so they can work in an area of interest. I think we've got 8 students doing this in combination with the nursing.
And nursing for education to 1 marine science and 1 exercise science.
So you can see that those boys are working in the area of interest and that what they're going to go into at university. So they're starting to sort of gather skills that way. The certificate 4 is all day Thursday. So it's one of those 1 day a week options that sits on top. Apart from giving students the option to have year 11 as a bit of a, as a trial period, I guess, the certificate 4 also means that these boys have a qualification. So if they don't pass one of the units of Uni Ready, or they don't pass the Uni Ready units, which they can repeat later, they will always have the certificate 4. Murdoch University will take a certificate 4 for university entry. ECU will also take a certificate 4 as long as they also have an A grade in general English. UWA now will take the certificate 4 in combination with a number of other different factors as part of their experience-based entry. So there's lots of different options for the boys if they follow this particular pathway.
A lot of in the Cert 4 class this year, there's a lot of boys that are going to be trade bound between Cert 4 business to support them once they become trading. So that's the other options.
If you're thinking about this particular pathway, the one thing we do want you to keep in mind is the prerequisites. So whilst you won't be doing an ATAR course, there are some ATAR subjects which are actually important for particular university course entry. So maths apps being one which is quite common. So they just need to check when they're looking at their course, and we would have this conversation when we are actually talking to them about entry to the course. These are things they learn in academic writing. I'm just going to move through this one quickly because it's more detail than you need at this point in time. But essentially, you're learning to write for university, and you're learning how to present at universities, oral presentations, and working in tutorials and things. You can go for any course which has a 70 guaranteed ATAR, and the course switching options there. We're going to get students to they don't register their interest for Uni Ready until the end of year 11. So they've got all of year 11 to work out whether or not the pathway they're currently on is appropriate for them. At the end of year 11, they can indicate to us, sorry, not the end of year 11, it's more like midway through year 11. They can indicate to us that they're actually interested in the Uni Ready pathway. And then they'll be asked to fill out a form which gives us all of the details we need, their current grades, their work ethic, their intentions in going to university. I'd need to see indications that they've looked into the university course that they wanted to go into. We're looking for an A or a B and a minimum in the general English, or a C grade in ATAR English, because this is they do need really strong writing skills. And we're looking for students that that will be able to succeed in this course. So we're trying to find the best fit. We will have to cap numbers, so we shouldn't be considering Uni Ready as a guaranteed pathway. It would be an option for students who fit all of these sort of criteria and are really interested in going to university. I think that's it. Are there any questions for myself or Liana or Lauren before we finish up? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I think some of the universities offer early placements. So if that's all of the universities, we don't have a range of courses, or when does that?
Okay, so the early offers have already opened for year 11 students. So in the wake of, or during COVID, when there was a bit of a crisis about people, universities actually getting their numbers in, they opened up early offers to year 11 students on the basis of their semester 1 report. So on that basis, they were able to determine whether or not a student was a good risk to come into a course. Now, these offers have been opened up. I don't know if we've got any current students who are looking to apply at the moment.
Some of the students they've changed the structure slightly. So the offers are only actually going to come out in July. So I'm not sure whether they've just been sent out or whether they're due out fairly soon.
So the universities will make that approach to people. They'll advertise it through social media and various agencies. We don't actually handle that because we are a school that works alongside the School Curriculum and Standards Authority. We work on the notion of the ATAR being the way to get into university. Having said that, the universities will make their offerings to students, and students are welcome to apply for that. The thing about those offers is that they are conditional and unconditional, and when they come through, you have to be really careful when you look at that to see that there are certain terms and conditions around it. So it might be that in certain courses, you've got this offer, but you have to meet the ATAR. we'll give you a place, but you have to meet the ATAR that we've set for you. For the unconditional offers, in the past, and when I was reading them, when students were showing me them, they were saying, yes, you're in, but there's a certain pass rate that you need to get through in order to sort of be considered in the course. So there's a whole range of things around that. Every university is different. Offers are not just confined to Western Australia either. The universities around Australia will make these offers. So for things like medicine, dentistry, physiotherapy, which have a high ATAR requirement, those early offers don't come out through that. They rely on the ATAR. But there are courses that have been developed over the last couple of years in response to industry requirements. So cybersecurity, population health, multidisciplinary sciences, they'll put out an early offer because it's a range of things that they can get into. So you can have a look out for that. It usually happens around about this time of the year when the first semester reports come out.
And the boys receive all the information about that in the 12 as well. So
yeah,
we've just spoken to them about TISC and early offers and all those sorts of requirements.
The information is ongoing from the careers office. So, every year at every step, there's information that will come out that the boys will be able to access so they can find out what developments there are. There are changes happening with courses all the time at TAFE and university level. So as that information comes through, the careers office will put that information out. Any other questions? Yes.
That similar to Curtin College, but
yes and no. Curtin College offer sort of a more specialised program, I guess, in terms of university preparation that is more personalised, I would almost say. The Uni Ready program is actually run at university in the same way. So it isn't. They run those prep courses through Curtin College, but they also just run it on campus, so at Curtin University. So you could enrol in the Uni Ready program over the school holidays, so do a sort of a shorter period. And they also do it, some students will miss the mark, so they'll do an ATAR pathway and end up with 68, say, and rather than go into the course directly, they'll enrol in Uni Ready for the first semester, and then they'll move into their course. So you can actually do it at university. It's just that we're offering it beforehand.
Curtin College is one that's attached.
Yeah. It's a little bit, and Curtin isn't the only university doing enabling courses. They all offer this. So if you went to ECU, Murdoch, Notre Dame, UWA, they all have preparation courses now, which students can enter.
Any other questions? Okay, so one of the questions that was raised to me, do we need to have a course counselling session? The answer is no. If you've got a clear idea of the subjects that you're wanting to go through, we'll send out those instructions, but we highly advise it because there may be something that you haven't considered or you haven't put in place. And the other thing also is that you have to refer to the prerequisites. If you're going to do this yourself without a course counselling session, if you can't find the time to come in, if you choose a pathway or a subject for your son and it doesn't match their prerequisites, I'll be following up. Okay, so if you put your son on a pathway, an ATAR pathway, and we go and have a look at the results. So what I do with all of the selections is I send them out to the heads of learning area and I say, tell me what you think. Is this working? Does this align with your understanding of the capacity of the students? And if it comes back with, no, we have a query on this, then I will come back to you and we will have a meeting later. Because we want to be sure that the pathway is correct. Okay? That's really important. And you know yourself, you're realistic enough to know what subjects your son wants to study and what combinations they will be and what they will mean. that course counselling session next week is an opportunity for you to ask those questions and really unpack it. You might have an idea in your head about what your son is good at and what they want to do. Your son might have a different idea. I hear laughter. It's common. So that's where the discussion can offer clarity, and that's really important. But if you're not in a position to come in next week, certainly if you want to make a meeting with me, I'm sort of in and out, and I'll certainly be here in the second week of the holidays. If you're wanting to come in and have further discussion, then I'm happy to do that with you. Because we want to get it right.
If your son's general pathway orientated, like make an appointment with me, because obviously I can match them. Like it's like a dating site, right? I can match you with what works for your son.
What?
I'll bring the, our chair together with the student, and then make sure, even this year I was looking at the courses through North Metro TAFE, and there's, Cert 2 in the arts area is amazing. So all about, social media and promoting this in that way. So, if you speak to me, then we can find something that will work. Doesn't mean I'll get you in, but I'll try.
Make every
question. So with your course counselling, what if you have like a child that has no idea what he wants to do? Do I need to try and work that out and try?
No.
Meeting? Or that's
We'll help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have many discussions, but getting no.
Yeah, and I think there's a little sense of I don't have to deal with it right now. Don't make me deal with it right now. But the reality is time will not stop for them. We've got year 11 students who still don't know what they're going to do, who've just finished first semester, and I've called a couple in and said, tell me what your plan is, because it's clear this pathway isn't working for you. Where do you think you might want to go? And I get seriously the blank stare. And I don't know. And it's like, well, okay, well, we right here and now, we have to make it work for you. We have to pick subjects that are going to work for you. There are some boys who are really strategic about it. They're really strategic. I had a conversation with a student the other day, and I was sort of saying, well, what do you think you might do? Oh, I haven't thought about it. I said, well, you'll have to do RE and you'll have to do English. And what about maths? And he goes, oh, I'm not really sure about maths. And he said, could I do, and this is where the penny dropped for him, could I do woodwork, metalwork, outdoor ed and PE studies? I said, yeah, you can, but where will that get you? What do you want to do with that? I'm not sure, but it'd be great fun. I said, yes, it would. It would. It was like I could hear it was spinning, and then it dropped, and it was like, oh, I could spend my day on the tools and out on the oval. I said, yeah, you could do that, but what's your pathway? What's your end goal? What is your point? And in the end, he did say, I want to do workplace learning in plumbing. I said, okay, well, you're going to need some maths for that. You're going to need something for that. So then we worked at that back. So that was the conversation. But for a minute there, the light bulb was on. So, and then I pushed, turned off the light. But
sorry, I'd also say on that we actually did do extended form.
Oh, yes.
We actually drafted their subject selections.
Okay.
So maybe check in with your son just to see what it was that he chose, because we spent that session sort of drafting them and then talking with form teachers, and Lauren and I and Patrick were also just wandering around and just checking with a few of the students about what sort of decisions they might be wanting to make. So they may have a draft.
It is tricky for them because you can't actually. No, and there was some in my careers class who put their hand up and said, yep, I know exactly what I want to do. I think I related the story about the kid who said, I'm going to do pediatrics, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. And I thought, that's fantastic. And what about the rest of you? it's actually very abstract for them at the moment. You know, what is my future going to look like? I've got an idea in my head, and hopefully this expo and the stuff that we're offering this week will give them a more concrete idea about what that's going to look like for them and what they're going to have to do to prepare themselves for it. But there will be a number of students who will still not really have a clue other than, yes, I've got to do RE, yes, I've got to do English, yes, I've got to do our maths perhaps. Those other subjects, those other three, I've got to be strategic about that.
Because he's sort of subjects that doesn't allow you, can't just people and subjects to be good at and then have no.
You've got that's the thinking.
That's what I'm worried. He's not working that out. He's like,
Yeah.
really good at maths, really good at this.
Yeah.
I think there's comfort knowing that no matter what, like you want to set themselves up, but if, like they decide they want to be an engineer down the track, there's bridging courses at uni. So
anyway,
you don't need to worry that it's not met. It just might take a little bit longer, maybe a little bit of extra money, but you know, like it's there.
These next 2 years is the most expedient way for them to be to get that qualification. And as Lauren said and Kylie said, there are some students, there was a student last year who walked out with their WA Certificate of Education, a Cert 4 in business, a unit under their belt at Curtin Uni Ready, and a Cert 2 in Woods and a Cert 2 in Metals. So they walked out with 5 pieces of paper that could articulate into so many different things, and they weren't doing ATAR. So there's that aspect of it as well. But the ATAR students that we've had, the ones who came back for our Excellence Assembly at the beginning of this year, our top ATAR student is studying ballet at WAPA. He's gone on that trajectory, but that ATAR that he has will allow him to go back and study anything at university related to that arts business. So this next 2 years is really expedient for them.
I think boys can, well, parents as well, obviously, you know, like they can be very strategic and play their cards smart. And I think if you know, in year 11, it's your trial year, really, not really, but you know, like do work placement, try totally different areas. If this is even as an ATAR, and go, don't like it, right? Oh, I like that one. Guess what I'm going to do in term 1, semester 1, next one, I'm going to go and actually do work placement in a big company. And then by the time you get to term 4, you've got the apprenticeship because they know who you are, you've got your name out there. Some of my year 12s have already been offered 2 or 3 apprenticeships by the time we get to the end of the year. So the boys can play it. If they play the cards right, they'll sort themselves, you know, they'll sort of set. And you know what, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. They've got, you know, this, I suppose, the skills there to go, okay, well, what do I need to do now? Okay, if we can get back in contact and say, Ms. Johnson, speak to parents, go here, go to this website, try to see. I've got my resume, so if you're ready.
I was just going to say on the point of they've been offered their apprenticeships, but their mums are making them stay until they finish their ways. They're making them stay until they graduate.
Yeah.
So
the boys do,
yeah,
they do a lot of them.
oh, there was a question. Yep. 3 levels.
Yeah.
Okay, math specialist is your highest level. Maths methods is you study specialist and methods together. Okay, so that is for your high level engineering, high level science degrees. TISC has now allowed maths methods and maths applications to be studied together. And then there's math applications. So it goes applications, methods, specialist. Methods and specialists have a 10% bonus added to them. So if your son studies methods and specialists, that 10% will be added to their ATAR score, irrespective of whether or not it's in their top 4. Okay, why? Because of the level of difficulty. The only other subject it applies to is a language, and we don't offer languages. Both of them. Yep. Okay, so because they're separate courses, they have separate codes, they're separate courses. Previously, applications and methods couldn't be studied together as of the 23rd of December last year, it was allowed. So we have a number of students who have come to me and said, I'm out of specialists, put me into applications. And they're doing the methods applications combination. But keep in mind that specialist is a requirement for some courses at university. You have to do it in order to be able to step into university and have it covered. Applications. Yeah, applications. Although we do have a number of students doing methods this year. We have a very small core of students who are doing specialist methods, physics, chem, English, RE. That's their day. I did have a student.
Talking tomorrow to the boys, so year 12 student, but the year 12s are presenting to the boys tomorrow for each of the different pathways. And he's one of those. And we were joking.
And 8RE.
He would be explaining exactly why he thought 6 subjects. Or I don't know why.
Six 8R, and he's not even breaking a sweat.
He wants to go into medicine, but he said that wasn't actually originally his thought, but
Yeah.
that does push you down a particular line. You have so many prerequisites. So.
I did have a query from a student, can I do formats? Which includes general, which is the non-8R course. I rang Scarza, I said, is it possible? And she said, yes. A student can do English, RE, general maths, maths applications, specialist and methods, but only 2 of them will be counted in the 8R. I went back to this student, he went, that doesn't work for me, I'll just do the 2.
Is there a prerequisite of what maths that
Oh,
currently?
yes, extended, it's on the sheet. Yeah, they have to be in a set, yeah.
And on the side as well.
Yes.
You're looking at use and reflection, here, so the subjects here with the percentage, example, that's what I have to get at the end of this year, I do JTAR subjects.
At this point in time, they've only done 1 semester. So it's an indication to us of what they're capable of achieving. If they haven't quite met it, so if they're, for example, in English at 65, if they're sitting on 63, we're not going to, if they're at 53, then we're going to say no. And then come back at the end of the year and we'll revisit it. So there'll be a window of time at the end of the year where students will be able to come back and actually make that pitch for getting into 8R. We appreciate that 1 semester is probably not enough, but we do it now so we can set up the timetable.
Yeah, but as you said, some of those kids might not be able to get in because the classes are full. So what if, say, for example, they haven't studied human bio in science, but they
Yep.
don't have chemistry?
Yep.
And they want to, let's say, physio and then.
Yeah. Pick the human bio, pick it anyway.
Would you allow?
Yes.
Science part isn't up.
Yep. We'll allow it. What we'll do is we'll have a look at the various tests that they've done. So I think by now, yeah, they're different topics. And we know, and this happens in HAS also, with geography and economics. And we've got politics and law starting up next year, which we haven't tried. So we've set the prerequisite for a certain standard in a HAS subject, in HAS. So what we're going to look at is a number of things. So when we look at that data wall on sector, we'll look at their English mark for literacy. We'll look at their actual mark in that subject. And if we believe that they're a good risk, we'll put them in. Okay. We'll go back to the wholers with the list class list and say, tell us what you think, because we appreciate that not everyone is good at the physical sciences as much as they are at the biological, because they're very different things. You'll know that biology and human biology, you couldn't study those 2 together. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, they actually separated those, the same as English and literature. So we've got a student who's doing English and literature because they've got an idea they're wanting to get into law and they want to do that more precise sort of standard of English.
So that's probably because if you be able to do it here.
Yep.
And you can sit the exam.
No, that's gone, which is why they've lifted that restriction. If you're going to do both, study both. Yeah, there was, because some of those English literature students were blitzing the English exam, and that's okay, but they've just not allowed that yet. I think that stopped a few years ago as well.
I think those percentages there are like, we set them because we know that we don't want people to fail. Because we don't want to set them up for failure. To say, if you're getting this, then we'll be able to survive.
Yeah.
If you are dedicated, you're hard worker. So it's not to be nasty, it's just to say, this is where you should be at, and use that for intensity that you're still working.
But just on those disciplines within those subjects, we appreciate that there are probably some wriggle room that we can allow there. Yeah.
Sorry, so, my son has been students of the semester budget, so, you know, it's quite into, foresight, you know, in Smith too.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does that, years in trial subject?
Because they do health and PE as a compulsory subject anyway. And we'll give those lists to Chris Mason and Tim Grabsky, and they'll look over it and they'll say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So look, thank you so much for coming along. We look forward to seeing you next week. If you've got any questions, give us a call. Thank you.